Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us, tmosso@the1916company.com for all of your purchase, pricing, and availability questions concerning this watch. Today we discuss something quite rare. This is the FP Journe Chronometre à résonance in its second series with still symmetrical dial but now rose gold movement. And I say this résonance is a special one because it's triple pink. Rose gold dial, rose gold case, rose gold movement, and this one not only features the rare factory bracelet, but this example with an extraordinary number of links in the bracelet, specifically to fit a large wrist. Take a look at that. These links, just by virtue of their presence, add thousands of dollars to the value of this watch, as the bracelet, with its standard number of links, is a tens of thousands of dollars expensive accessory. So, a very special 40mm diameter watch from a discontinued era of the resonance. It measures 9.1 millimeters thick from lug tip to lug tip, just the case, 48.3 millimeters from end link to end link, the total distance across the wrist, 54.8 millimeters, so really quite broad, and the spacing between the lugs, 20 millimeters. So we'll throw this watch on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, and it wears nicely. You can even see just how much extra length there is on this bracelet, but it's a good fit. Now, it is broader on the solid end link bracelet, so whereas the standard watch in 40 millimeters is suitable for a wrist of 14 centimeters circumference, I'm going to say on the bracelet, you want to wear it on a wrist my size or larger, so 16 and up. It is very flat and easily slides underneath the cuff. My, this bracelet. It's more involved than you think. As you can see on the reverse side of the bracelet, it's held in place by fixing screws, and these are the Journe-style Holt head screws. And then the bracelet includes a 5-link design splayed out on each side, sort of diagonally oriented towards the center links. The removable links, and there are quite a few of them, are fixed using screws. And you can see that there are intermediate-sized links inside the bracelet. In case you find yourself in between link sizes, you can fine-tune with those intermediates. A double folding clasp, you can see right here, the hallmark's still very sharp and well-defined. And then it is a sequential close with a friction fit, just like that. FP Journe, he invented and he made it, and it's true, he did. Dating back to the 1980s, Journe had an interest in achieving balance and lever escapement resonance. Now, this is a phenomenon originally probed by watchmaker and clockmaker Antti Janvier, and he most famously constructed resonance pendulum clocks that were able to achieve a virtuous constructive interference whereby the two sides, due to parasitic emanations of energy, friction, would synchronize to each other and then self-correct. And so the idea is, inside the case, we have two different barrels, 1, 2, two different drivetrains, 1, 2, two different lever escapements and balances, 1, 2, and they're not linked in any way other than the fact that they share a common base plate. They are not geared together, there's no differential, and they're not held tight to each other by a coupling spring, as you'll find on, for example, the mirrored force resonance from Arm & Strom. Now, this is true frictional resonance, with the friction, vibrations, and heat given off, causing one to synchronize to the other. And by keeping them geometrically identical, but with the hairsprings oriented in an opposite direction, you can see how the hairspring is equal and opposite in orientation on each side. So when one starts to run fast, the other runs slow, but they're coupled together by resonance, so correction will take place of one against the other. And because it will be an equal and opposite correction force, it will always be a self-regulating, self-correcting resonance chronometer, and they should not vary by more than 5 seconds relative to each other per day. You can see that this balance cock is actually mobile. There's a set screw, and then there's a little gold pinion and a steel polished rack. So that rack and pinion system used to adjust the hair's breadth between these two balance wheels. That's how resonance is achieved, by excruciating hand tuning and regulation. Now, because it takes about 7 to 10 minutes for resonance to actually take hold and couple the two sides, you wind up with these little second subdials not being synchronized. They're synchronized relative to each other, but not in parallel. There's a little flyback trigger here that you pull to synchronize them. That is cool. Bullhead winder, and it's used to wind. And what's kind of quirky here is that as you wind it, this little power reserve indicator hand moves towards 0. That's because in watches that are dubbed chronometre or chronometer inspired within the Journe line, and you can see technically this is the chronometre à résonance, they have chronometer-style power reserve indicators, like a marine chronometer, a deck clock for navigation. You need to wind it every 24 hours on the nose for regularity and navigation safety. So you need to know how many hours since the last winding, not how many hours until it stops running. So when this is fully wound, it indicates 0 for 0 hours since fully wound. The dial, media blasted, is made of solid rose gold. The frames for the 2 subdials, polished steel, and then we have the Journe tapered biomorphic blued hands, little concentric pattern, pyramide guilloche. This is a stamped guilloche right here. And then dial side assembly screws, which are an influential thread of Journe watch design that was questioned when first launched, but ultimately became very influential, this idea of having assembly screws on the dial side. Now, these are independently settable time zones, so while they are coupled together to the second, they can be set to different times. So this can be used as a travel watch. On the back, the reason I call this a Resonance 2 is because it is caliber 1499.2. So 14 is the size of the movement in French ligne. 1999 is the year work started on the movement. The first Resonance launched in 2000. A 36 jewel movement, you can see it's a large caliber to fill this case back. 2 free sprung balances beaten away at 3 hertz, adjusted in 6 positions each. Chronometer standard is 5, this is 6. 6 is better. And then you've got that resonance coupling system with twin equal and opposite free sprung flat hairsprings and balances of equal geometry. We also have the solid gold bridges and plates. They're not gilded. They are solid precious metal. It's like holding a large gold medallion in your hand. And all of this theoretically 30 meters water resistant, but I encourage you not to test that. Finish is good. And I would say Journe finish is more clean and attractive than subversively aggressive, like you would find on an early Grubel Forsey, where the finishing is all to the nth degree. This is commensurate to Journe's intention, much like George Daniels before him, to put the focus on innovation, and that's exactly what this watch delivers. So I would say probably 8 out of 10 finish on a horological scale, 11 out of 10 on an innovation scale. And then we have the French-made Eleanor stamps right here. This is a French-made case from the early pocket watch days through about mid-2008. Journe watches were cased up using cases and also bracelets and clasps made by Eleanor, which is just outside of Paris. And then mid-2008, Journe purchased Eleanor and moved it to Geneva, and it became Boîtier de Genève, his own in-house case factory. The watch has a 42-hour power reserve, and you can see that it is 2 barrels, but the 2 barrels are wound using the single crown. If you love this watch, reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.